Hey everyone, how's it going? So, what am I doing now? I'm actually responding to a comment that was left on my video of the Ford Expedition where I did the intake manifold in my driveway here. That's my neighbor's vehicle. And the question was presented from Percy A. And basically he said, got a little cheat sheet here. You can see I got numbers and stuff on here. This is how I keep track of my videos. But anyway, so Percy said, how do owners feel about techs doing side work and then the subsequent possible lost revenue for the shop? That could be a tricky slope. The work that I did on that particular vehicle was my neighbor's truck. It was not drivable. Basically from his house to my house, and it is literally the next driveway over. He couldn't go anywhere with it other than having it towed, because if he went up the street, because it was spraying coolant out, if he went up the street, it would probably start to overheat within a block. Luckily, he noticed it as soon as he got home is when it happened. So he noticed it, and that's when we thought it was that gasket, but it turned out it was the intake. So subsequent lost revenue for the shop. A situation like that is not lost revenue for the shop. Most shops, they don't care if a tech does side work at night and stuff like that. Now, there is like a caveat to that. Like I bring my own customers that I've had for a number of years, and then of course I have my neighbors here, and I live an hour from the shop, so it's not like I'm gonna put his Ford Expedition on a trailer and take it to the shop. I'm gonna do it cheaper than the shop because I'm doing it in my driveway. I'm not paying the overhead of the shop, and that's what a lot of people don't understand either. There is a lot of overhead in a shop. You could be talking an easy $10,000 a month just in overhead before even turning the lights on. It doesn't even include the technician salaries and stuff like that. It's easy to hit the $10,000 mark. Very easy. So if a tech were to, let's say, look at a car at a shop and say, oh, look, this thing needs brakes and stuff like that, and then talk to the customer outside like, hey, come here, come here. You know, here's my number. Give me a call. I'll do it in the driveway for half of what the shop's going to charge. That's stealing. That's absolute stealing. When I worked at the dealership, there was a particular person there in the shop who thought he was the big cheese. He thought he was all that. And he was one of the biggest thieves I've ever met in my life. One vehicle in particular, I had a Dodge Grand Caravan come in, and this was the older body style, like 94-ish, 95-ish, because 96 was when they went to the Jelly Bean. It's like a 94, 95. And it came in for AC not working. So I recharged the AC, and I come to find out the evaporator core was leaking. So we gave the customer a price on it. This particular technician, and he had done it several times. I'd seen him do it several times. He looked and saw what the estimate was and called the customer himself and said, hey, bring it over to my shop at my house and I'll do it for less. And the way I know this is because I had keys to the shop. So did he. I had keys to the shop. And this is early on in my days there. I had keys to the shop. So I got there on a Sunday to do something on my own car. And there he is with that particular Caravan recharging the AC because he changed the evaporator in his own in his house. Like I said, he had a lift at his house. He had a nice little shop at his house. But it's like, that's absolute downright stealing. And he would do it all the time. All the time. I don't condone it. I don't agree with it. To me, that's just being a cruddy person. I want to say another word, but I won't do that. I have morals, I have standards, and I like to live by them. Most shops, every shop I've ever worked at has allowed me to work on my stuff in the shop. Most shops, or many shops, will say, you going to work on your cars or family members' cars. That's it. You can't work on outside people's cars. And that's fine in most cases. But me, I do work on a lot of other people's cars. I got people, matter of fact, I have one being dropped off at the shop tomorrow. Guy's driving 4 hours to drop it off to me. You may have seen that. Actually, you have seen that truck before. It was a knock sensor truck. Remember the red Chevy, or either it's a Chevy or GMC 2500 series with a 6 liter, and it had knock sensor issues? That truck. The guy drives 4 hours to drop it off to me for me to work on it. I had a person drive from Connecticut to drop their car off with me. They took 2 cars. They were going on vacation down in Florida. They drove 2 cars down to drop their Chevy Avalanche off with me. I recently had a buddy of mine who I grew up with trailer his car. He rented a U-Haul and a trailer to trailer his car from Tennessee to me, a 12-hour trip to have work done. In a situation like that, though, he needed cams and timing chains and stuff like that. It wasn't something I was about to do in my driveway. So I did it through the shop because it also had a warranty on it. So it's just something like that. I don't need to make money on it. I'll just do it through the shop. And so the shop gets the money for it. But basically, like I said, it boils down to doing the right thing. And I've mentioned this a million times, doing the right thing. And as shop owners need to pay attention to this, pay attention to their techs. We had a tech there at the shop that started taking advantage of Robert's good nature of allowing us to work on our cars in the shop. And next thing you know, he would be working on his own car or a project car of his during work hours. Like, the only time I could see that working on your own car during work hours is if it's a breakdown and it's got to get fixed for you to go home or make it somewhere. Other than that, that's an absolute no-no. But most shop owners are usually fine with stuff like that. But there is a line, and you can cross that line pretty easily. And like I said, a lot of the work that I do at my house is my own customers that I've had before the shop. Taking a customer from a shop, that's an absolute no-no. I've had people reach out to me and say, "Would you work on my car? Because the shop is going to be way too much money." No, I'm sorry. You have to find somebody else. I won't do that. I don't care how much money I can make on a job. I will not do that. It's not the right thing. Like I still got to sleep with myself at night. I got to be able to go to sleep and have a clear conscience. So that's not me. I will never do that. But unfortunately, I do see it, and I have seen it, and it's a cruddy situation, and I don't like it. But anyway, so I hope that covers the basis of your questions there, Perry. And I thought, like I said, I thought it was a very good question. I thought it was a very legitimate question, and I thought it deserved an answer. But yeah, so if you're working for somebody, don't steal. That's all. Like I said, it costs a lot of money to even turn the key in the door to get the day going. It costs a lot of money. Like I said, 10 grand a month is not out of the question. So, all right, guys. Hopefully you get something out of my videos. If you do, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, have a great day. Keep wrenching.